All right, Social Nines. I'm just going to make another quick video, this time on the very large Chapter 1 assignment. The assignment that you should be working on that I handed out, probably about a week or so, or a couple weeks before the lockdown or the quarantine or whatever you want to call it. And then I want you to continue to work on over the next week and a half. Hopefully, you'll have it done before the Christmas break. So, anyhow, I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough, kind of talk about what you should be doing on this assignment. So here it goes. It's out of 50 points. It gives you a list of key terms that you should be aware of. Okay. Task 1, it says look carefully at the diagram of Canada's political system found on page 22, also right here. Your task is to recreate the diagram on the next page. Your diagram should include a visual, um, freehand, or trace something from your textbook for each of the main parts of the diagram. All right, so basically this is a make work type of project where you could actually take what you see on page 22 of your textbook, but you could also look at some other sources. The DVD that we watched a few weeks ago could be a place in which you just copied down the Canadian political structure. All right, and as you can see, it's worth 4 points. It should be a combination of graphics and um, words, etc. All right, task 2, you must develop an understanding of the 3 main branches. As you know, in chapter 1, we look at not the levels so much, but the branches of the Canadian federal political system. So we're looking at the federal level, but within the federal level, we're looking at the 3 branches. Your task is to either create a mind map as a visual organizer for each of the 3 branches. Now, for this one, as you can see, there isn't any marks for this one. This is where I don't even know if you need to have some sort of visual organizer. You could do a visual organizer, or you could just list, the aspects or qualities of the prime minister. Okay, leader of the largest party in parliament. Okay, also an elected MP, okay, etc. So go into your textbook and look at the list of aspects of a prime minister. Also look at the list of aspects of the cabinet. The cabinet, of course, is chosen from the same party as the prime minister. Um, they're responsible for specific areas within the government. They're called portfolios, um, etc. So a listing would be fine here. Now, now you need to list qualities or aspects of the House of Commons and the Senate. Things as far as the House of Commons would be is that they're made up of 338 members, chosen by rep by population. Provinces with higher populations will have many more MPs. Um, they're elected to terms that range from, basically a year, depending on the type of government. If that's a minority government, to up to 4 years if it's a majority government. All right. So, anyways, look in your textbook on the factors or aspects of people that are made up in the House of Commons. Okay. Remember, they're elected. Now, on the Senate, of course, is smaller than the House of Commons. There's only 105 members of the Senate. Each of those individuals are appointed um, by the Prime Minister. Okay, officially, I believe it's by the Governor General, but it's usually by the Prime Minister's advice. Okay, and in many ways, they're a patronage position, etc. Maybe list a few of the responsibilities of senators and the Senate itself. It is part in passing bills into law. Okay. Anyways, so there's that. And then the same thing with the other or last branch of government, and that would be the judicial branch. List a number of things that make up the judicial branch. Obviously, the highest court in Canada is known as the Supreme Court. Know the makeup of the judges within the Supreme Court, where they come from, how long they serve till, etc. All right, this one is a fairly benign, fun little activity. Name the province or territory, and then guess its population and look up on Wikipedia its actual population. Okay. Task 4 is to answer the following question in the space below. Which branch government do you think is the most powerful within the Canadian political system? Support your choice with at least two specific pieces of evidence. Okay, so you're going to pick whether it's the legislative branch, the executive branch, or the judicial branch and provide some sort of rationale. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Prime Minister Trudeau is members of both the executive and legislative branch. And so maybe you need to kind of figure out which one of those branches is more powerful and why. Task 5 is the whole path of how a bill becomes a law. Okay, so you need to write some sort of understanding of how that process occurs. Obviously, for the most part, it starts in the House of Commons, but you're going to have to be a little more specific on that process. How many times it's read in the House of Commons? When does it go to a committee? When is there an amendment, etc.? How many times it goes to the Senate? Is there a committee? Is there amendment, etc.? And then at what point does it get signed into law by the Governor General, thereby becoming a law? Task 6 asks you to read through pages 27 through 30 um, and answer the following questions. Okay, and so for 3 points, it asks you, how does a government or a political party gain power in Canada? Explain in detail. I would probably go through the whole election process. You can read in your textbook on that election process. You can watch some of the Williams social videos on the election process, but understand that there's a process that is undertaken before a party can gain power. Okay, well, the biggest is they actually have to win an election in which they win either a plurality of seats or a majority of seats. Now, if they have more than half the number of seats, of course, that's a majority government. But if they have less than half the number of seats, but more than anyone else, they can be invited to form what is known as a minority government. So you need to explain that process in detail in order to get those 3 marks. All right, how does a prime minister get his job? Well, part of it has to do with the fact that this person is the leader of the largest party in the House of Commons. You might have to explain a little bit more than, how does the prime minister become the leader of the party? Okay. And ultimately, after they have become leader of the party, how does the prime minister get his job as uh, the prime minister? Okay. What makes that person the prime minister? Last one, how can a government and a prime minister lose his or her job? Well, governments, I would look up the term a vote of non confidence, okay, and kind of read through that whole idea. Okay, and then ultimately, at some point, prime ministers or any leader of a political party can go through what is known as a leadership review, a vote of confidence within the party, etc. So you might want to look up some information that deals with that. But basically, if a government is in power and they get outvoted on any kind of money bill, any kind of financial bill in the House of Commons, they are forced to resign. Okay. And usually what happens, an election is then called. Okay. So work on that. All right. Task 7, it says explore the question, what is wrong with our election system? Okay. Watch the segment. And maybe I'll post the segment online, but you can certainly get uh, all that you need to know from just reading this information. And basically, what this information is telling you is that the proportion of seats that are won in the House of Commons is not the same as the proportion of votes. Okay, some people would call this an artificial majority or an artificial vote. So, for example, from a number of years ago, the Liberals gained 172 seats, which was 57% of the seats at the time, okay, but only had acquired at the time 41% of the votes. So the difference is they got 57% of the seats with only 41% of the vote. The alliance, okay, the alliance and the PCs eventually combined to became the Conservative Party. They only acquired 66 seats, had 25% of the votes with 22% of the seats. So it's somewhat close. Okay. Um, anyhow, the alternative to what we have presently, which is called first past the post, winner take all kind of scenario, it's just basically this where um, if you are running in an election, you can see the stat right here. Okay, this scenario here, even though it is very, very close vote, that candidate one wins by one vote. Um, they take that writing, and the other basically 40,000 people that voted for the other candidates, they're not heard. Okay, so the thing I'm trying to make you understand is that the it becomes very disproportional, the difference between the number of votes people get versus the number of seats these parties get. All right, so you look at the question, which candidate would win the seat for Wood Buffalo? Well, that would be this person because of winner take all, first past the post. And then approximately what percentage? Well, as you can see here, it's approximately 20% plus one vote. Okay, so the person's winning with only 1/5 of the people supporting this person. And then the scenario kind of plays out if every riding in Canada of all 338 kind of worked out like this, you know, conceivably, and of course this would never happen, but in theory, one party could win all 338 ridings with basically 20% of the popular vote, 100% of the representation, 20% of the vote. Now, like I said, it would not happen, but you're going to see discrepancies, um, not like that exactly, but to a certain extent, which people would cry, well, that's not fair. Okay. A political party with only 35 to 40% of the popular vote has 60 some percent of the seats in parliament. All right, so I think I've spelled out some of the problems with first past the post. The biggest one is that it disproportionately produces majority governments that are not reflective of the will of the people. All right, so I do invite you, and I probably will post a couple video links to help you understand that with this assignment. So there's that. All right, task 8, read through page 44 in your textbook and summarize the Aboriginal perspective about the Canadian political system. That should be fairly straightforward right there in your textbook. Task 9, the media is often called the watchdog. A watchdog, oversees what goes on. It makes sure things are on the up and up, etc. Do you think this is a good name for the mainstream media? Well, have fun with that response, okay? If I was kind of play this safe, I would say certainly the media is a watchdog of the government. It makes sure that the government is on the up and up, etc. But we all know we don't live in a perfect world. You might want to, like I said, have a little fun with that response. Task 10 talks about what is a lobbyist. Define it right there. And if you're going to create your own lobby group, what issue would you build it around? Okay, lobby groups are not like political parties. The purpose of a lobby group is try to bring about change within government without becoming the government. Lobby groups do not try to get elected. The groups that try to get elected are known as political parties. Okay, so if you want to encourage people to drink and drive less, okay, you would belong to Mothers Against Drunk Driving lobby group. Okay, if you want to be involved in conservation of the environment, okay, you might be involved in something like Greenpeace, etc. Okay, if you belong to a gun lobby, okay, in the United States, maybe you're a part of the National Rifle Association, etc. Okay, those are lobby groups. Final task says place yourself on the following spectrum dealing with the effectiveness of the Canadian political system. The key inquiry question for the chapter was how effectively does Canada's federal political system govern Canada for all Canadians? Okay, I don't know if this is worth any marks. Oh, it is. It says if you select a 10, you believe Canada's political system is perfect. If you select 1, you believe Canada's political system is terrible. Once you have placed yourself on this spectrum, you must explain and defend your position you identify. Provide a rationale for your placement and use specific evidence to support your choice. Once again, use the Peel method to answer this question. Anyhow, I hope this helped, and I will, like I said, post a couple videos to help you with this assignment. And hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.